So before we dive into our topic, I just want to remind you all who we are and what we do. So if you've attended any of our content or series in the past, maybe you are familiar with the fact that Client Success, we are not just a content provider. While we love to put on these types of series and webinars and boot camps for the community, we are a software. And so Client Success is a customer success management solution that really helps customer success teams manage from what we say from new to renew. So that entire customer lifecycle and journey. So think everything from managing customer health, managing the lifecycle activities and milestones, all the way through task management, collaboration, engagement, all of that in one easy to use, simple and powerful platform. So if you're not familiar with Client Success and you're interested in learning a little bit more about us, please head over to clientsuccess.com, click on the demo button, request a demo. If you want to reach out to me and ask me my ideas, my thoughts, my feedback on Client Success, I use it all day, every day. I'd be happy to share that with you as well. So if you don't have a solution and you think you're in need of one, please reach out. If you have one and it's not meeting your needs, also, please reach out. Would love to share some thoughts here and hopefully maybe partner with you all in the future. So that said, again, please go check us out if you're not familiar with Client Success. But without further ado, I do want to introduce our topic for today because we're already 7 minutes in. And even though I'm a fast talker, I got a lot of content for us. So again, my name is Kristi Faltorusso. I am the Chief Customer Officer at Client Success. As I mentioned, we are a customer success management solution. And so you are part of session 2 of our Customer Success Leadership Bootcamp webinar series for Q1. Today's session, we're going to talk about how to launch scaled programs to support a one-to-many approach for your customers. We're going to dive into this. We're going to spend the next hour or so covering lots of different ways that you can roll different types of programs out, samples of those programs. I'll give you a little bit of an idea of how I'm doing this stuff at Client Success. Remember, all of these bootcamp series are based off of my experiences. And while I've got experiences, I am not by any means the sound end all be all to all things and all answers to these things. So hopefully, again, as I mentioned, you'll all jump in and contribute to the conversation in the chat. Would love to hear your thoughts. So without further ado, we're going to get started. So I want to start with just this, because I think this is the concept that really, I think, embodies what we're going to cover today, right? You're probably working at a software company where hopefully your customer base is growing. Your product is innovating, it's evolving. Your team is probably the same size, and yet everyone needs to be enabled. Now, I say this because when I pick the topics, and I mentioned this in last week's series, right? When I pick these topics, I pick the things that are near and dear to my heart, that are really relevant and timely for me and my team, and the things that I'm seeing and things I'm hearing from our customer base. And so maybe this is something that resonates with you. Maybe you're sitting there and you're like, yes, my customer base is growing because sales is starting to pick back up after maybe a slow year in 2023. Your product, we have not stopped innovating. Hopefully you're all working at companies where your product continues to evolve and it's changing, right? And it's meeting the needs and the demands of your customers. Your team, guess what? While sales is starting to pick up, we still haven't grown. Maybe headcount isn't back to where it was before. Maybe open recs aren't open just yet. Maybe we're hoping for later in Q1 or Q2. But again, we still have this problem of all of our customers needing to be enabled. Now, I love the data that I have access to, but I also love sharing data from authorities around the web. And so I grabbed this chart here that was put out by the World Economic Forum as part of their Future of Jobs report in 2023. And what it showed is the total of job both growth and loss. And so if you look there, the red dots represent in millions lost jobs, and then the green ones represent new jobs. And then you have this whole stable jobs in the middle. And so what they said was that 23% of today's jobs will change. Now, the reason why I thought this was an interesting snapshot and something I wanted to share with you, because as we think about all the work that we need to do to train and enable and help our customers, right, we've got some realities to face. And let's talk about what those realities are. First, it's likely that you have seen turnover across your customer base over the past 12 to 24 months. If you haven't, you're probably just not paying close enough attention. I will tell you, in the customers that we work with, in my customers, we're seeing turnover all the time, right? We think customers are ghosting us, but guess what? Oftentimes I go check out their LinkedIn and guess what? They're just at another company, or they were laid off, or some other change took place. And that's the reality. Now, with that said, maybe we're losing people, but we've got new people coming in. And so we've got new contacts across our customer bases changing all the time. We've got new users who likely don't know how to use our software, right? If they weren't the person who purchased it, they've inherited it. And if they have, they've inherited it in its current state, right? And so that leads me to this third point here, which is the current deployment of your product might not actually mirror the needs of these new users, these new individuals, these new leaders. And so these are all realities that as CSMs, we have to face, we have to navigate that. I'll tell you, as we're talking to customers all the time, my number one reality is that, like, wow, okay, we've got to re-enable, we've got to retrain, we have to re-onboard these customers, because especially as we have new leaders coming into place, guess what? They have a new strategy. They have their own approach to doing things, which means the way that they've been using my software for the past year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years is going to look very different as they decide to march forward. And now I have to make sure that our technology meets their needs, can be configured in a way that allows them to get value. I have to resell them. So this is all part of this, like, this bigger need for us as customer success professionals to make sure that we are constantly training and enabling all of the stakeholders and all of our customers. Right now, this doesn't just mean our admins and our executive sponsors. If you've got a technology that's being used by end users that you don't directly have access to, which a lot of us are, then you've got to touch all of them and make sure that they're getting value from your solution, right? While train the trainer works as a methodology, I think sometimes engaging your customers and helping, that also goes a long way. So this was really kind of like the impetus of why I needed to tackle this topic, because these are the realities that I'm seeing. Would love to see from or hear from you guys in the chat if this is your reality as well. Validate me a little bit. All right. So as I was navigating some of these findings, right, I've got a lot of new people that I'm working with, people leaving, coming, going. I've got to figure out what to do, right? And I can't start from scratch with every new customer. Imagine if you took your entire customer base and put them all in onboarding at the same exact time. I'm sure things would break. So that wasn't exactly a path forward for us. I couldn't just say, great, we're going to re-onboard all of our customers. But I had to figure out, well, what do my customers need from me, from my team, from client success, right? From our product. And so this is where I started to figure out, okay, what could the areas of opportunity be for our business? So started here. So first thing was, I started to think through, okay, well, what about technical support? Could they benefit from help with ticket management or navigating bugs or questions that they have, right? Just following up on that. Because I don't know about all of you, but as much as we train and enable our customers, I'm pretty sure when customers have questions about tickets, they're still going to your CSMs, right? So how do I revert some of that behavior and get them to kind of go back to engaging with support? Well, how can I elevate support so I can take advantage of that team and those resources to help our customers? The next thing is platform training, new features and functionality. Again, we talk about innovation. I am confident that even if your platform, your technology, your product is evolving slowly, you still have new stuff going out every month. So how do we make sure that our customers are taking the best advantage of all of our new features, all of our new functionality? Now think about it. If you have a lower engagement model, maybe you're not speaking with your customers every week, every 2 weeks, maybe not even once a month. How are they to be enabled properly and take advantage of your solution as it continuously evolves? Now, we'll just use the example. If you're meeting with your customer once a quarter, which I know is the reality for some of you, and your product is evolving every week, every 2 weeks, every month, you're going to go months with all of that innovation going out and your customers really not knowing what's there, how to use it, what the value prop is. That could be a big gap. Then we talk about enablement on reconfiguration and best practices. This is a big one for us. Customers that are, we understand how the product works, but how are other customers using it? Or Kristi, how are you using it? I get that all the time from our customers and I love it. But how do I do that at scale, right? How do I make sure that our customers have visibility into best practices or how to best use and drive value from our solution? Then we've got this industry education. This is different, right? This isn't about my product. This isn't about features and functionality. This is more about the evolving trends in each of the spaces we operate in. Now, conveniently for me, I work for a customer success company. And so I like to think that I'm at the forefront of what's happening in customer success, or at least have some visibility there so I can help elevate that knowledge and bring it to my customers and make sure that we're bringing that to bear in support of them. But this is something that all of your customers need, right? Doesn't matter what industry they're in, they could be looking to you as the expert in that domain, and they're wanting to learn from you all. So how do we make sure that that information is making its way to your customers? That knowledge is actually probably going to even help them get more value from the partnership. And then I've got professional services. And I wrapped my head a lot around this because I know that some of our businesses, we charge and we've got a great infrastructure around PS and like premium services, like paid services. And then other organizations, we don't. And guess what? We're throwing countless free hours at our customers because we need to help expedite deployment, or we need to mitigate risk or help with an integration, right? So we're willing to make these investments. But sometimes when we make the investment at no cost, right, the value of it diminishes a little bit. So I will talk about paid services and my point of view on that. All right, so this is where I started. And I said, this is some of the stuff that I thought my customers need. Now I want you to reflect on these. Maybe one or two of these works for you. Maybe all five work for you. But these were the things that I said, okay, great, Kristi, what do I need to do to help my customers? These were my five. So then I had to figure out, okay, racking my head. That's right. I have not doubled my resources. I don't have more team. I don't have more money. How do I make this work? How do I still get my customers everything that they need so that they're getting value beyond our product? Because again, value doesn't need to just come from your solution. It's about the greater partnership. And so there's ways to make sure that your customers are getting what they need and more. So what I will recommend is you got to start small. In true Kristi fashion, I love to just come up with a bunch of ideas and be like, great, we're going to go do all 10 of these. And I'm sure that my team hates me for my level of enthusiasm and rigor around trying to do all these. So I'm gonna say, do as I say and not as I do necessarily on this, but start small. I listed out 5 opportunities here, right? 5 things that I wanted to solve for. I'm going to show you a bunch of programs that we're getting ready to work through. Pick one. Start small, bite something off, test it, try it, get it to work, move on to the next thing. So again, giving you a little bit of like, let's take this in stride and say, great, you know what, let's focus on this one piece of the business and this one initiative, and let's wash, rinse, repeat. So start small, please. That said, Kristi didn't start small. Like I said, do as I say, not as I do. I was like, okay, I got these 5 opportunities for me to drive more value for my customers. What can I do? So I mentioned last week in the webinar, right? I talked about this, like interviewing your customers and getting feedback. So what I did early on last year, and so if I've got any of my customers who I actually spoke with who are part of that conversation, I interviewed about 40 customers last year. And of those conversations, I said to them, I was like, listen, I want to walk you, well, one, I want to ask you a couple questions, and I asked them a bunch of things. Then I said, I want to run you through where my head's at and some of the things that I'm thinking about. And so I presented these 7 things. And I was like, I was like diarrhea of the mouth. I was like, here, I have all these ideas. Listen to me. Yay, yay, yay. Get excited. Great. And then I was like, what do you think? And honestly, the feedback and the enthusiasm around this, I mean, like, you would have thought that like I solved all their problems. They were like, yes, I would actually even need less from my CSMs if I was getting these things. Well, okay, you basically just validated 100% of what I was trying to solve for. You're telling me you can meet less with my CSMs if you're getting access to these things. That's literally what I'm trying to solve for. You getting value with less demand on a one-to-one, where we can do more of a one-to-many. So these were the 7 things, and this is what we're going to walk through today. I'm going to introduce you conceptually to some of the things I'm thinking through, some of the things that we've put in place, give you some of where we're headed. And again, if you've got thoughts in the chat, please always jump in with your ideas, thoughts, and feedback. So first one was offering support office hours. And I'm going to dive into all these, what they are, how we're approaching it, how to go about doing it or starting to do it. The second was a self-guided onboarding. So going back to this fact that I got people turning over in all these organizations, but I can't onboard every company or every new individual as they come into the business, but I am responsible for making sure that each person who has access to our product knows how to use it and get value from it. I am responsible for that. So as an organization, we cannot expect our customers to just figure it out, right? Even if you're Calendly, right? I love Calendly. I like to think that I'm smart enough to figure out how to use it every day, but I'm sure it's got features and functionality I don't know how to use, that I'm definitely underutilizing it. So how do we make sure that everyone who's using our product is properly onboarded? Then there's this notion of community. I don't know if your customers are saying this or if they want this, but I will tell you thematically, one of the things that came back is that my customers want to be connected with other customers. They want to be connected with their peers, with their colleagues. They want to share ideas. They want to come together in a forum that allows them to engage conversationally, ask questions, tackle things together, have a laugh, solve a problem, celebrate a win. So community was really appealing to them. Then there's this notion of these webinar trainings. Now, again, if you've been to any of these boot camps, this is one thing that we do, but these boot camps are for the entire community. Doesn't mean they're not valuable to my customers, but we also want to be thoughtful about what is the type of webinar content that we want to bring and deliver to client success customers specifically. So there's a whole new strategy around how are we delivering content to our customers via webinars. Then there's this idea of leadership workshops, which I loved. And I think this probably got the most excitement from our leadership across our customer base. They were really, really pumped about this. And I'm going to tell you guys about the one that we've got coming up. Then there's this notion of paid services. Again, I'm going to tell you, if you're uncomfortable with the idea of charging your customers, you would be shocked. You would be shocked at how willing people are to pay for certain things. And I think that there is this fear that if we charge them, they're going to balk, right? Customers are already at risk. How can I expect them to pay for things? These are not foreign concepts. These are not things that are new. These are things that our customers themselves are doing. So considering what paid services could look like. And the last is customer marketing. I feel like this is an area that we don't even lean into in the smallest. And when I hear people talk about customer marketing, you know what it is? It's case studies, it's events. It is not the customer marketing that I know, that I love, that I've run. And so we're going to talk about how that could be very different in supporting our customers' initiatives. So that said, I'm going to dive into all 7 of these. That's what we're going to spend the next couple minutes on, or yes, the rest of this webinar on. So I've got these 7 ideas. Hopefully one of these at least piques your interest and it's something that you feel like you can confidently run forward with. So let's get started. The first one is this notion of support office hours. Now, I got to tell you, I want to just make sure that we're level setting on what I was perceiving as the value, both internally for our organization, but as well as for my customers. Now, you guys might have a different perception of what that value might look like, how it might translate for your customers. But I think regardless, before you kick off any of these initiatives, it's important for you to align and say, well, what is the benefit to our business? What is the objective? What is the value prop to our customers? Or else why do it? So spend that time. If you like any of these ideas, it has to make sense for both you and your customers. So for us, as I was thinking about this, I desperately needed to reduce the ticket volume that was coming in. Not that we have so much that we can't handle it, but we get a lot in. And I want to just make sure that I have a way to reduce this as much as possible, because regardless if I've got the best support team behind that ticketing queue, my customers still had to stop what they were doing and submit a ticket. Right. And so that is a disruption in their workflow. It doesn't matter how great my team is. It doesn't matter how quick the response is. It was still disruptive in their workflow. So my thought of reducing this isn't just for the sheer fact of I want to reduce ticket volume. No, I want to reduce the friction that my customers have when they think about our product or when they're engaging with our solution. So there was more to this than just the ticket volume. The next one is I need to reduce customer outreach to our CSMs. One of the most disruptive things to my team in their workflow, and if you are a CSM and this is you, raise your hand. I'm here for you. I couldn't be more empathetic, but I see it all the time that my customers will reach out to CSMs and say, hey, I submitted a ticket to support. I wanted to check up on this. Can you do that for me? Or they go to my CSMs to submit a ticket. And so they're coming to my CSMs and saying, hey, I can't figure this out, or is this a bug or whatever, right? And then my team has to stop what they're doing and go submit it to Jira in our case, or Zendesk or whatever you're using, right? So that becomes a disruption in my CSM's workflow. And then you have this notion of like, okay, your customer came to you, and now if you're the CSM that says, oh, please submit this to support, then it feels like we're not helpful, right? So all of those experiences feel subpar for everybody involved. So I want to make sure that we can reduce that. The next one was decrease time to resolution, right? We want to expedite this. We want to get things done faster for our customers. So this was something we had to think about. Then there was this reduce the volume of exchanges between support, right? How annoying is it for support to go back and forth with the customer over email? Right? Sometimes it's easier to just pick up the phone and ask a question. Now I know that not everybody can do that, but like that would be ideal. And ultimately I want to improve that CSAT. I want my team like, I want my customers to feel like they're having a positive experience. I want them to be able to share that feedback with us. And a great way for us to measure that is we do offer a CSAT survey after our exchanges with support. So I want to just continue to improve that. We're at a 5. I love that. I want to keep it at a 5. So when I thought about support office hours, again, this is how I brought it down. And I said, this is how I can justify it for my team, for my business, and for our customers. So let's talk about how I had to think about this. And so I'm giving you prompts here. I'm not telling you everything that I'm doing because I want you to think about it, because I think what's important here for you is figure out what works for your business. Remember, I always say it depends. Customer success is not a one size fits all strategy. It is not even a one size fits most. Okay. It's going to look different for each of you. So before you go jump in and say, okay, great, I love this, Kristi, we're going to do it. Let's just start with asking some questions. Well, one, what would the format of this be? So as we thought about this, like, is this going to be an open forum where, you just have an open 2-hour window and like anybody can join? Well, we thought about that, but then there's like this security risk, because if a question comes in from a customer and they ask something specific about their tenant or about their configuration or about their data, like, could that violate privacies? And so we didn't want there to be any security issues. So that didn't work for us, but like that could work for other companies. Should customers pre-book time slots? Does this give off the feel like it's more a controlled environment and less of this like support office hours that has more flexibility? Will those time slots book up quickly, and does it defeat the purpose because we can't fit all of our customers in it? Do we want to open this up to all of our customer segments or just to a specific cohort, right? Is there a segment of your customers that seem to have the most support tickets? That's always interesting. Have you dug into that data to see who actually would benefit the most? Do we want to offer this the same time each week? Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly? So these are obviously not all the only questions you need to ask yourselves, but I wanted you to start thinking about how would we design this for our organization? Now, at ClientSuccess, what we align on is that we would offer this weekly. It's going to be a 2-hour window every week, and it's going to be pre-booked. So you can book 10-minute slots with an agent, and you can use that time as you see fit. Now, why we went that route is because we wanted our customers to book the time, have that time that was exclusively theirs in private with their support agent, where we can pull up their tenant, we can answer their questions, again, in an environment that was completely safe, their own, didn't risk anybody else joining or hopping in. And we're able to tackle their questions and hopefully reduce that time to resolution. So that's what we're moving forward with, is that 2 hours once a week, same window each week. We tried to find a window that overlapped with all of the time zones that we support customers in, which, we did our best. And being able to just offer that same time each week, and people could pre-book a time with them. Now, the upside to this also is that you pre-book at least 24 hours in advance. And then also what you can do is that you have the ability to show the support rep like who's going to be joining, so they can actually do the prep. If it's about a specific customer or ticket or whatever, they can go and do this in advance. So again, we're launching this the end of this month. We've been doing all the prep to set this up. We're really excited about it. That's how we're structuring it. That's how it came across. Now, the next one here is identify the owner. You've got to figure out who in your organization owns this. Now, again, I really, really recommend that you have somebody that owns it. Now, the owner of it doesn't need to be the person who's running it every week. It could just be somebody who's orchestrating it, but you need someone who's accountable for the program. So please figure out who is best suited to orchestrate this initiative. In this case, I'm working very closely with our head of support as well as one of our support agents. We do have one support agent who will be running this each week. I think it's a fun opportunity to give them a new program, something for them to run that is their own, step up, step out of the role a little bit, define this, measure some success against it. So I think, you've definitely got people on your team who want to take on new initiatives, who want to prove themselves to be valuable in different areas. This could be a great opportunity for that. Next, we had to scope the initiative, right? So how are we encouraging customers to use this time? Like, how do we want to prep them? And like, what is it for? What is it not for? I think designing that was really important for us as well. Like using this and saying, okay, you can follow up on tickets that are open. You can submit a ticket with an agent. Like if you've got something that you're experiencing, you want to ask them. If you don't know how to do something and you're seeking support, those all felt like relevant ways and I think valid ways to use this time. If it's for an escalation, if it's for something else, right? If it's something that's in dev, maybe those aren't the things I want to use it for. So we were trying to be very prescriptive and like guiding our customers on how we want to use the support office hours. And, obviously we want to just make sure that's clear. So when we enable customers at the end there, making sure that they understand how to take advantage of it. Because I think that's the most important thing. Obviously, you want to design and define it, but then how do we want to encourage our customers to take advantage of it so that there's real value for all of them? Now, obviously, the end all be all of all these initiatives is please figure out a way to measure it for your organization. It's going to look very different for each business, right? It could be, what is the close rate on tickets? Is that improving, right? Did it take was it used to be like 36 hours on average to close out a support ticket? Now it's 24 hours. Is it that we've got less tickets in the queue? Is it that we have a higher CSAT? Figure out what the KPIs are that you want to manage. Get your CSMs to validate that they've got less inbound emails and requests from their customer base about support related issues. So figure out how you want to measure it. Define those KPIs and set it up so that you're all paying attention to it early and often. So again, this might look very different in your organization. This maybe is not something you can do at all, right? Maybe this isn't the one for you. But if you are going to tackle this, know that this can drive real value for your business and there's ways to approach it. I do recommend you start thinking about what is the appropriate format if you decide to run forward with it. The next one here is that self-guided onboarding. So again, had to think about what is the value prop for our company, for my team, for our customers. So starting from the top, reduced time and resources to onboard customers. Gosh, even if we have new customers coming on board, this can help everybody, right? It's like having automation. I hate when people are like, oh, no, I would never use automation for my enterprise customers or my really big ones. Don't be silly. All of these things help all of our customers. If we can help scale our efforts even a little, there is value there. And your customers will not think that they're being downgraded because of it. It is additive in some cases. So obviously, if we can reduce the time and resources that are required to onboard a customer, net new customer, or a re-onboarded situation, really important. Available on demand to onboarding new customer contacts. Think about that, right? Like I've got 10 new people that just bought licenses to our product, right? Maybe they were new hires to the business. Awesome. I'm thrilled to have them on board. I need to train and enable them. I can't have my CSM stop, pivot, go back to this, or my onboarding manager now reintroduce it. No real way to also predict that. We don't have a funnel or a pipeline of like when our customers are hiring and bringing new people on board so we can get that into a queue. Not for us anyway. If you are, awesome. But for us, we want to make sure, let's figure out a way to get them onboarded and make sure that we have this on demand so they can take advantage of it at any time. And make sure your customers know it's available. Decrease time to value, right? If we can shorten that window from our customers coming on board and getting value from our solution, that is a big metric for us. We want our customers being able to drive value day one. So how can we think about this? And the next one here is improve that product adoption. At the end of the day, the real value here is that my customers are using the solution to tackle their challenges, right? To be more efficient, to be more effective, to be more productive. These are all things that all of our customers are trying to solve across all of our businesses. So if we can help get our product in the hands of these end users or these admins or these new leaders and do so methodically where we can help them get more value, everyone is winning. So how did we approach this? Obviously, we had to think through some things, just like we did with support. So will onboarding be available in a portal? Is it going to be in-app? Is it going to be through trainings? Is it group facilitated onboarding, which I've seen a lot of companies move to that, which is really interesting. Will I need an onboarding tool to facilitate it? Could it just be in a spreadsheet with a bunch of links? Because remember, what do I always tell you guys? The most powerful tools in the universe are Excel and Google Sheets. So put it in a spreadsheet, have links to Loom. We don't need to, throw $1 billion at this, guys, to get this right. Create some like Zoom links there. Give them something. Do we want written content? Do we need video? Is it a combination of both of these things? Is it screenshots? Have you used a product called Scribe? Go check that out. It actually like automates your click path and creates these like really great documents and content. So what is the format, right? Got to figure that out. How are we going to approach this? What do we need to go and execute this? Again, you have to identify an owner. This is going to be the same theme in every single one of these slides I go through. So is this something you're going to have multiple people work on? Is this something where you have one person own this? Is it a team effort? Is it collaborative? Does a CSM take point on it? Do you have somebody who's in onboarding who's going to go and orchestrate it? Is your leader, is somebody from ops? It does not matter, but you, again, need somebody who's going to own it to hold them accountable to executing it. Okay. I cannot stress it again. I love to see that somebody else is using Scribe. I love it, love it, love it. We're just getting ready to use it. Scope the initiative. Same thing, right? Is this going to be used for all of your customers or just some segments? Maybe to start, you launch it with a few customer segments. Maybe it's your smaller customers to start, so it doesn't feel like you're burning down the house if it goes terribly wrong. But is it a tranche of your customers you want to carve out and make it available and get some feedback and iterate, which I love that. I always talk about, let's start small with a cohort of customers and then move it forward. And then obviously we've got to track and measure it. So what are the different measuring points and KPIs that you're going to go and use to make sure that you have a good handle on it? And lastly, you've got to enable your customers. Now, personally, you've got to determine like when this is going to be and how it's going to be communicated. Likely to better set expectations in the sales process. So the best way I can tell you to enable your customers is to start at the very beginning. But now that said, right, not all of your customers today are net new customers coming through sales, right? In fact, none of them are. Your existing customer base today already went through sales. So how do we think about enabling them, your existing customer base, to take advantage of this? You need to be able to make sure that you're communicating what the value is for them, how they can use it, where they can access it, point them in the right direction, promote it everywhere, right? My team is actually, we've built this really beautiful onboarding portal, and we're going to start adding more of this content in there for them to leverage. We'll link to it in our signature. We'll link to it in app, right? Like just start to promote it everywhere so that it feels accessible to the masses. If you've got ways to communicate with all end users, great. In a lot of organizations, you don't. You're limited to the contacts that you're working with, which might be an executive sponsor, your admin, leader, something like that. And you don't have access to all the end users who honestly might be the ones who would get the most value from this. So how do you distribute this information in a meaningful way that gives everyone visibility? Think through that. And then obviously you've got to think through those KPIs so we can measure its success. Now, the next thing here is community. Now, when I talk about community, I guess, listen, there's a ton of ways that people are going to take this. You're going to take it as like, am I deploying a community platform or am I deploying community initiatives? I'm going to say it's a little bit of both, right? Because I think that it's all relevant and relative. In a lot of cases, to deploy a community platform, I will tell you, having done it and done it not successfully always, it is a Herculean effort. It is a lot of work, not only to get it stood up, but the ongoing management of it. So if you don't have the resources, I will tell you, buyer beware. Just be careful, because it's going to be a huge investment you're going to have to make. And if you don't have the appropriate resources to orchestrate it, keep it active, monitor, manage it, it's gonna fizzle. Right. And then that would be a bad experience for everybody. A lot of work, a lot of resources wasted. So just be very thoughtful about how you approach that. But so when I thought about community, what is the value add here for our company, for our customers, for my team? Enable customers to help one another, share information and insights at scale, facilitate connections and relationships across your customer base. I need everyone to also stop panicking about the fact, like, what if one of our really happy customers talks to one of our really unhappy customers? What's going to happen? Guys, we need to stop running away from that. That is like it's a silly fear that is preventing you from doing really great work for your entire customer base. Instead of worrying about that, why don't you go figure out why that unhappy customer is so unhappy and go fix that, instead of prohibiting yourself from doing some of these bigger initiatives. Sorry, a little rant. I just feel very passionate about that. Last one here is improve. It's going to improve cross-functional collaboration with your customers. Think, you got a community, you've got sales engaged, you've got product, you've got support, you've got marketing, you've got leadership. All of a sudden, your entire company has access to your customers. And that is a good thing. Guess what? CSMs, as much as I love you and as much as I think that the work that we do with our customers is great, we don't own the customer. The company owns the customer, which means we're all working in collaboration to do really great work on behalf of our customers and make them successful. So we want all of our cross-functional peers involved in a very positive, well-orchestrated way. And so if you can have a community that facilitates that beautifully and orchestrates it, that's what we want to do. So for us at ClientSuccess, we did go the route of a community platform. I will tell you, we are going to reinject some energy, some life back into it, because I will tell you, like I said, I don't do everything perfectly. I'm here to share all my failures. I launched a community. We went big and bold, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited, did all this work for months and months and months, launched it. It was beautiful, it's gorgeous, so amazing. And I didn't have the ability to maintain it, and so it fizzled. So now we're re-strategizing around it to like get some life back in it. So you all have to think about, for your community efforts, is this going to be a community Slack? Is it going to be email? Is it webinars? Is it office hours? Community doesn't mean a platform. Community is about bringing your people together, right? That's what a community is. And it doesn't matter. You don't need a platform to do that. You just need a way to get people to connect. And sometimes those connections are just one-to-one. Maybe your community effort is, I'm going to create a customer like relationship mapping program where I map like 3 customers together who have shared objectives, who organizations look the same, who both like executives are like the same persona and same kind of experiences, things like that, right? Like maybe you're just doing like a matchmaking program. It doesn't matter. So define what the format is that's right for you and your business, but the idea of community is bigger. It is not just a forum. It's not just a platform. So please get your heads out of that. There's so much more that you can be doing at a different scale. Again, I'm going to stress this again. You need an owner of this. So who's best equipped to run the program? Figure out how to structure this with an owner who is empowered to work with and delegate work to others, okay? Because what I will tell you is if you do not empower that person, and if the organization isn't clear that this person owns it and they are going to need to collaborate, it's going to make it really difficult for them to be successful. And so that's one of the points of failures I've seen in other businesses is you tell somebody, great, this is your project, but then they're not getting the support and buy-in that they need. And it becomes this tumultuous relationship with their cross-functional peers because they can't get anything done because nobody wants to do what they're being asked to do. There has to be this larger company-wide buy-in that says, yes, we're going to do this and we need everyone's support. And this is the person who owns it and they're going to be responsible for orchestrating this, or hire a full-time person. But we all know that right now, headcounts are frozen. We're not getting a lot of budget for more people, which is the point of these programs. So maybe that's not a possibility. Next, you need to scope this initiative, right? What will the initial priorities around your community initiatives be? In some cases, it could be relationships, right? Like I said, are we connecting like-minded professionals? Is it about sharing ideas? Do I want to be able to give cross-functional teams access to my customers at scale? Should this be a place where they're submitting feature ideas, right? Like figure out what is the intention of this initiative and who benefits and what's the value from it? And then lastly, again, you have to enable your customers. So what is the approach to doing this? You're going to have to determine when and how to communicate these programs, right? And where do you want to do that? Communicate the value proposition to encourage that engagement. Communities specifically are really difficult and now I'm talking about the platform, right? So if you launch a community platform, you can tell everyone about it. Getting people to stay engaged is hard. Go ask any of my friends at GGR. It is hard, right? Initially, people are really enthusiastic. They're excited, right? But that fizzles. How many communities have we all joined in our lifetime and we're super pumped in the beginning? And then like a week later, it's like, what's my login? I haven't even been in there. So it's hard. You've got to figure out what's going to work for them. Next one, webinar training. So when I thought about webinars are really effective. Honestly, look at this boot camp here, right? We've got hundreds of people, we've got thousands of people who are registered for it, hundreds that show up every week that we do it. It's effective. It works. People get a lot of value from it. I'm sorry. You're obviously here for a reason. So we know that there is value in doing webinars. So what was some of the reasons I want to lead webinars for our customer base? One, it scales that end user and customer training enablement. That was a huge one for us. How can I educate and enable my customers at scale? I cannot just rely on them figuring it out on their own. What are alternative ways to keep customers engaged with your brand and your content? This is a big one, right? Engagement is not just, did my customer and my CSM have a meeting? Did my customer attend a business review? That is not engagement. Engagement goes so far beyond that. So if you're looking at it so siloed in, did my CSM and my customer have a meeting? You're doing it wrong. Engagement is big. It's deep rooted. You need access to more people. These webinars give you an ability to scale that, and it keeps your brand top of mind for all of these people, and it keeps your content at the forefront, helping them be better at their jobs. And then lastly, it brings together various personas for knowledge sharing and ideation. And I think that is a huge value add for any organization. So how do we want to distribute that? So for us, when I thought about webinars, can I use them? Can they be effective? Absolutely. These were 3 value props. So define the format. Are these live? Are they recurring? Is it a series like these series that we do here? Is it customer or company led? I've seen huge success in folks that just enable their customers to go lead their webinars. Brilliant idea. Get your customers to talk about how they use the product and enable your other customers. Like, genius. Are you going to record them? Are they available on demand? Do you keep them in a repository that's accessible? Do you keep them private because you want to drive engagement? You have to figure out what is the format that makes the most sense given your objectives. Identify an owner. Guys, again, I know I'm a broken record. Figure out who's going to own this, right? Do you have the same person run all of your webinars for continuity and branding? Do you have the same person? Do you have different members? Is it cross-functional teams, right? Do I have product leads sometimes? Do I have CSM? Do I have onboarding? Do I have support? What do we want to do? How do we want to orchestrate it? None of these are all right or all wrong. Maybe there's a combination of it, right? Maybe you're like, we're going to do a webinar once a week. And the first week of the month, it's going to be product. And the second week of the month, it's going to be support. And the third week, it's going to be CSM. And the fourth week, it's going to be marketing. I don't care. Come up with something cool that works for you, that benefits your customers. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. Scope the initiative, right? Are these webinars for training enablement? Is it for collaboration and idea sharing? Is it a Q&A format? Is it train the trainer? Is it for product release updates? Is it for all of these things? You have to be very clear on the intention around these initiatives, because when you go to enable your customers, they have to understand, they have to be clear in the value that they're getting and how they should be taking advantage of it. So it goes back to how are you communicating the value of these sessions? It's not just the session itself, right? But why do they need to be there, and how will they benefit, and what will they be able to do differently as a result of attending? They have to understand the WIFM, right? The what's in it for me. Leadership workshops. Okay, guys, I'm most excited about this, and I recognize I have 3 minutes before the 10-minute mark, which is usually when we get to Q&A. I'm going to try my best to get through this. But the leadership workshop is one of my favorite, most exciting things that we're kicking off here at Client Success. Our first one is the end of March. What we have done is we're limiting it to 50 people to start. So it's exclusive, it's intimate. We're going to do breakout sessions. It's basically a 2-hour leadership workshop. Has nothing to do with our product and everything to do with tackling real world challenges for our customers. And we've exclusively invited leaders because they're the ones driving change in their organizations. Now, guess what? The advantage to us, I am now having regular engagement with our leaders. I now have them engaged on a topic. I'm going to reach out to them. We're going to build relationships and partnerships. Guess what? You know how hard it is to keep a leader engaged in any partnership? How many times have you said, oh, I've reached out to somebody and tried to do a business review, but we only get our main POC and the leader, the executive isn't engaged? Guess what? Come up with creative ways. This was mine. So what did I do here? I'm able to connect leaders with one another. Forget connecting with me. They don't care about me. They want to connect with like-minded professionals who are tackling the same challenges. That is real value for them. You're tackling industry topics, not product related things. And we're leveraging learnings and best practices to tie it back to the product, right? So if we're tackling a topic, guess what? I can follow up with them a week later and say, all the things that we talked about and that we workshopped together, here's how you can use Client Success to solve those problems. Great. Marketing, help me out here. Let's create a whole campaign around it. So there are ways to tie it back together, guys. So for me, this was a no-brainer and probably the one, like I said, I'm most excited about. If you're going to do a leadership workshop, is it in person? Is it virtual? Is it small group? Is it breakout? Is it regional? Is it by persona? Figure out your format. There's a million ways that we can do this. Next, you have to identify your owner. I know this broken record thing. So who's going to own this? I will tell you, for the leadership workshops, I'm owning this. Not only do I want to own this as a leader in my team, because these are my peers, I am so pumped about this. Like, find out who's passionate about what, because people that are passionate about things likely going to work a little bit harder, want it to be successful. They've got a little skin in the game. It means more. So don't just delegate to people because you think like Mary's got some time or bandwidth, or Bob, I don't know, he's less customers. No, find out who is really pumped about each of these programs and allow them to lean in. Scope your initiative. Webinar trainings, is it for enablement? Is this collaboration, product idea? Again, how do you want to use these workshops? What is the intention? For me, they're industry related. Figure out your why, and then enable your customers. For us, the big thing here is like, we want to get buy-in on the topics and the format. We want to partner with our customers on this coordination. We're going to send pre and post surveys to keep them really engaged on this topic. Right now, these are proposed to be quarterly, but I will tell you, we booked our first workshop in less than 36 hours, fully booked. And we have a waiting list. So people are excited about this. I might have to move it to bi-monthly instead of quarterly. So they're excited about that. Professional services, paid services. Guys, I'm telling you, if you are terrified for charging, you're letting fear prevent you guys from doing all this great stuff. Charge for consulting and services. Get your customers to scope the work that they need, right? Your customers all need help. We don't have unlimited resources, but you'd be surprised. People are willing to pay. Maybe they don't have billions of dollars, but there's some money there that they can allocate to getting work done. it drives a new revenue channel for you guys, and you can staff accordingly, right? If you see a pipeline of this stuff coming in, hire accordingly, right? Like you can build out a team when you have money coming in. It's going to improve product configuration, adoption, and value realization. So those reasons alone, your customers will get more from the solutions they made investments in. It helps them. Staff augmentation for customers who don't have available resources, which again, look at your own team, right? None of us have like ample resources. I could augment my team a little bit to pay for something if I needed to get something done, if it was a priority, right? We all find money for the things that are important to us. I promise you, if you have the right packages, the right need, the right demand, the right pricing, you can get this sold. So I'm just telling you, this could be a way that you help your customers get more from the partnership. Again, when you think about one-to-many, it's different than some of the other things we're talking about, but there is real value here. So think about your types of packages that you can create and you can scale. Like, are there specific challenges that you can solve? Now, when I think about packages, I'm not talking about PS in the sense of this grand scale of like, we're doing like, scopes of service and work here where it's like, oh my gosh, we've got big SOWs and it's all custom. What are the wash, rinse, repeat small things that you can sell? What is a $5,000 package, a $10,000, a $20,000 package that you can promote in a one pager that 60% of your customers would absolutely take advantage of, that solves a real problem for them and a real problem for you? Those are the things I'm trying to help you figure out. Not these big custom things. Find the repeatable things, the things that will scale, and price it at a point where you will just sell it. Do some testing. Figure out who's going to own this, right? Does it need to be services where we have somebody already who can deliver it? Can it be a CSM? Do you have somebody on support? Is there somebody else who's got these skills? Is someone from product? Figure out who's going to own it. Scope it. Like I said, are these onboarding packages? Are they new integrations? Is it a re-onboarding? Is it deployment optimization? Is it custom dev work? Is it a workshop? Is it on-site training enablement? These are all things I've seen PS teams package up and scale and charge for. And I'm telling you, put together some great marketing material, get it out there. I promise you, someone will bite. Enablement of your customers. Again, you got to get this in front of them and let them know, educate them on what's available, these new packages, these new services. Capture customer success stories, right? Once you've done one and it worked really well, get a video of somebody who's saying, this was awesome, I got a ton of value. The same way you do for your product, do it for your services. And then enable your CSMs on how to pitch it, guys, and how to sell it also, right? We don't just pitch it, we got to sell it. So let's get them to do it. If you've got somebody else in the organization who's better equipped to sell it, that's fine too. Okay, last one here, customer marketing. I'm going quick, guys. Last one. So customer marketing for me, I thought was a huge opportunity. I thought about this from like, can we create new content to support product releases and enablement? Can we help identify customer advocates at scale to participate in things like case studies, speaking engagements, and other initiatives? Do we want to design programs that are going to help identify new upsell or cross-sell opportunities? Guys, there's a huge advantage to customer marketing. Just like they fill the pipeline for your sales team, do not sleep on the fact that they can help you figure out where there's opportunity in your install base. And then new content for training enablement, right? This is an ongoing thing. Your customers never stop needing to learn. So what is your format? So for these initiatives, what are the things that will drive the most value for your customers? In which ways? What mechanisms? What are the content gaps that exist today? What will have the greatest impact on risk and on growth? If you do not know why your customers are at risk and cannot narrow it down to your top three, we know that these three things are impacting 80% of the revenue that's at risk. Guys, you need access to better data. If you do not know how to figure out where there are growth opportunities in your customer base, you need better data. You should be able to quickly articulate where these areas are and allow the customer marketing teams to lean into it. Identifying your owner, ideally this is marketing. Okay. But maybe you don't have somebody in marketing or there isn't anybody available. Maybe you've got somebody in customer success who's like, you know what? This is a career path shift that I'd love to explore. Let me take this on, give it a shot. Scope it out, right? Depending on the initiatives you choose, start with a plan and a program that's going to really help your customers get the most value from the first thing. Do not, again, we're not boiling the ocean. We're not eating the elephant. We're not doing the thing. We're not going big. Figure out what's the one thing we can do today that will have material impact on our customers tomorrow. Then you've got to inform your customers, right? Talk to them about these upcoming opportunities, engage with them more. You've got to get creative on how you build your brand with your customers, right? And how does your brand help them build their brand personally? I will tell you, I've been a huge customer advocate of a lot of technologies in my career. It has helped me immensely in my career. Help your customers, help those specific contacts grow their personal visibility in their space. It's going to help. Okay, so that's customer marketing. Things I want to leave you with before I get to maybe 2 questions with 4 minutes remaining. I say take note. 1, start with the initiatives that will have the biggest impact on your business and your customers. This should be mutually beneficial. Find the right resources to own each of these new programs, or align skill and will. Guys, I say this all the time. It is not just enough to say, can this person do it? Lean into the people that want to do it. I'm telling you, passion drives outcomes. People who are excited about certain things will take it to another level. I promise you. 3, collect feedback from customers before and after rolling these out. I did my whole interview process with my customers when I did this ideation of like what I should focus on. Guess what? As I start to roll these out, I'll be circling back with those same customers, the folks that are participating in these programs, to get their feedback. What is working? What do we need to iterate on? What would they like to see different? What would they like to see in addition to? Lean into your customers. 4, fail fast and iterate, guys. Some of these things will be huge successes and some of these will be like huge failures. As somebody who loves to fail very publicly, I will tell you, you will fail. Some of these will not work. Your customer, not all of these things work for every persona. Figure out the ones that work, run with those. Figure out the ones that don't and cut them immediately. Do not sit here and iterate 12 times saying like, well, maybe if we do this, or maybe if we do this. Guess what? Maybe that just doesn't work. Eat it and move on. Last one, make sure to have leading and lagging indicators that you are measuring. If you do not have KPIs, we will not know if any of these things are successful, one way or the other. So please make sure that you have a good understanding of how are we measuring these things, both leading and lagging. Get your data together. Okay, that said, I got 3 minutes, guys. I went through that so fast. I'm going to breathe now, okay? I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. I love the chat, guys. I couldn't read what was going on there, but it seemed like a lot. Okay, let's see how many questions I can get to in 3 minutes. Okay, somebody asked about the recording for the sessions. They'll be sent out. Okay. Challenge with enabling users old and new is you have to have a proactive approach, not reactive, or you'll not be able to understand how. Okay, this is more of a comment. Somebody, I guess, just validating the fact that we need to be proactive in how we're enabling anybody who's taking advantage of your product or has access to it. Okay, somebody else. With massive organizational churn in customer orgs, are CSMs struggling to find traction with new champions, or worse yet, are CSMs struggling to even locate new champions? And how are you overcoming this? I mean, I'll tell you something. We see this. I'm sure everybody sees this. As there's turnover in these organizations, you've got to be creative, right? You can't just keep emailing into the abyss. The first thing we do is once we don't hear back from customers, whether it's after a first or second attempt, and we do not go a third attempt without trying to try something new, I encourage my team to head over to LinkedIn. Let's just start there. Are these folks still at those companies, or are they at a new organization? Have they taken a new role? We reach out to them, right? We don't just look on their profile and make assumptions. Not everybody who has been laid off or left a job posts it very publicly, right? Some people just leave it that they're still there. They don't have the little green circle around their picture. Lean into them, ask them and say, hey, you know, we've been trying to reach you at your current company. We haven't been able to. Just want to make sure that everything's okay. Has something changed? Has your role changed? And engage them in conversation. More often than not, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, so sorry. I was so busy. I'll get back to you, or I'll put you in touch with the right person. My role has changed, or I'm not there anymore. And then maybe use that to find out what's going on in the organization and who else you should be reaching out to. Otherwise, LinkedIn is a great place to start. Discover.org is another one. So if you're working with larger enterprise companies, it's going to give you access to a lot more context of who is available there. I will tell you, we work with, again, it depends on your ICP. Sometimes I will reach out to senior leadership in the company of our customers and say, hey, we haven't heard from you. We've been trying to work with you. You've already made this investment, and we want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth kind of messaging. So it's like usually the CFO, the CEO, somebody cares, like they don't want money wasted. So they'll help me out there. So just those are some creative ways you guys can start to find other people. But yes, it is something we all struggle with. Someone asked for support office hours. Is that in parallel with standard phone support or in place of? It's in addition to. All of the things I've rolled out today and showed you are in addition to things we're already doing. They're all complementary and will run in parallel with other initiatives. I have not deprecated or changed anything else that we're doing with our team. The only thing we have augmented slightly is for some of our customer segments, just the cadence of engagement. That's the only thing that we have really altered there. Okay, guys, it's 2 o'clock. I don't want to keep you guys over because I don't want to be an abuser of time. Hopefully you found value in this session today. I'm sorry I had to go fast. I got so much. I swear, each of these boot camps can literally be 2 hours each minimally. So I appreciate you letting me talk super fast and squeezing them into 60 minutes. Don't forget, same time, same place, next Tuesday, we've got a whole nother topic. This recording and this deck will be made available for you. It will be emailed to you. You're registered. You're obviously here. You'll get it in your inbox. It will also be on our website. So please head over to ClientSuccess.com for this content and others. Again, thank you guys so much for your time. It's been a joy, privilege, and pleasure as always. And I'll see you again next week. Thanks so much, guys.